Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to dive into a super frustrating medical mystery that affects literally millions of people. If you've ever felt just constantly bloated, foggy, and like nothing you eat agrees with you, well, this explainer might just hold the key.
Does this sound a little too familiar? I mean, you eat a meal and almost right away your stomach just blows up like a balloon. You're tired, your mind feels kind of fuzzy, and it seems like every single food is the wrong food. If you felt that, trust me, you are not alone.
So you end up with this laundry list of confusing symptoms, right? There's the obvious stuff like bloating and brain fog and your digestion being all over the place. But what about things that seem totally random, like skin issues or even aching joints? A lot of the time, doctors just lump all this together and hand you an unsatisfying diagnosis, irritable bowel syndrome or IBS. But what if that's not the real story? Well, for so many people who are just stuck in this miserable cycle, the mystery actually has a name, and that name is SIBO.
And get this is the clue that really changes everything. You know that IBS diagnosis? Well, it turns out that for up to 70% of people who get told they have IBS, the real underlying problem isn't just a sensitive gut, it's actually SIBO. That number is huge. It kind of suggests we've been looking at this whole problem from the wrong angle.
So, what in the world is SIBO? It stands for Small Intestinal Bacterial Overgrowth, and the most important thing to get here is that it's all about location, location, location. We're not talking about bad bacteria here, we're talking about bacteria, even the good guys, setting up shop in the wrong part of your gut. This slide really breaks it down. On the left, that's a happy, healthy small intestine. It's supposed to have a really low bacteria count because its main job is to absorb nutrients from your food. But on the right, that's SIBO. It's like a huge crowd of uninvited tenants has moved in, and instead of your body getting the food, they get to it first. They start fermenting it, and that's what causes all the gas, the inflammation, and the disruption.
Okay, so you're probably wondering, how on earth do these uninvited tenants get into the wrong neighborhood and set up camp in the first place? Well, it all comes down to a breakdown in your body's own natural security system.
Your gut has this amazing three-part security system, and its whole job is to keep that small intestine neighborhood squeaky clean. First, you've got the gatekeeper, your stomach acid, which is so powerful it just zaps most of the bacteria that come in with your food. Second, there's the cleanup crew, these wave-like muscle contractions that are constantly sweeping everything down the line. And third, you've got a one-way door, a little valve that's supposed to stop anything from the large intestine from sneaking back up.
SIBO is basically what happens when that security system gets breached. If your stomach acid is too low, or if that sweeping motion is too slow, or if that one-way door gets a little faulty, bacteria can just hang around, start to multiply, and boom, they start fermenting your food right where you're supposed to be absorbing it.
So if a breakdown in security is the root cause here, who's most likely to experience it? Let's take a look at the high-risk groups so you can see if you should be a little more suspicious of these uninvited tenants.
And you'll see these risk factors tie right back into that security system we were just talking about. Got low stomach acid? Maybe from taking antacids for years? That weakens the gatekeeper. Slow motility, like with chronic constipation? That means the cleanup crew is slacking on the job. A past intestinal surgery can actually change the physical layout, and as we already know, just having that IBS diagnosis automatically puts you at a much higher risk. Okay, so let's say SIBO is your prime suspect. How do we actually solve this case? The great news is there are some really clear methods for figuring this out and then managing it.
The main way doctors test for this is surprisingly simple. It's a breath test. Basically, you drink a sugar solution and then you breathe into a little device over a few hours. That device measures the gases, hydrogen and methane, that get produced when all those overgrown bacteria in your small intestine start to ferment that sugar. If those gas levels are high, it's a pretty clear sign you've got SIBO.
Now, when it comes to managing SIBO, this right here, this is the single most important idea to get. The whole strategy isn't about starving yourself, it's about starving the bacteria. You have to cut off their food supply. So what's their favorite food? It's a group of specific carbs that have a really intimidating name, FODMAPs. But don't worry about the scientific names on this slide. All you need to know is that these are types of sugars and fibers that are basically rocket fuel for these bacteria. And yeah, they're in a lot of healthy foods like onions, garlic, apples, beans. But for someone with SIBO, eating them is like pouring gasoline on the fire that's already burning in your gut.
So let's wrap up this whole investigation.
After looking at all this evidence, we get to what is, I think, the most important takeaway of all. If you've been struggling with these symptoms, maybe for years, I need you to hear this loud and clear. It is not your fault.
See, this isn't just a tummy ache. SIBO is a systemic problem. Because it's happening right in your body's main nutrient absorption zone, it messes with everything. Your digestion, your immune system, and yeah, even your nervous system. That's why you get the brain fog and the fatigue. Your entire body is feeling the effects.
So, if you take one thing away from our little explainer today, let it be this. The problem isn't a lack of willpower. It's not that you're doing something wrong. The problem is physiological. It's about uninvited tenants living in the wrong place. And just understanding that, that's the first real step toward a solution. Now, of course, while we've laid out all the clues in this mystery today, you have to remember that this explainer is just the start of your investigation, not the end. A real diagnosis and a treatment plan have to come from a qualified healthcare professional who can partner with you to solve this. So take this information to them, start that conversation. Thanks for joining me.